injustice.
Low. Segments like these are designed to help you reason within yourself, be more at peace with yourself. Just think about life in general from a better perspective. Maybe. It's up to you. Anyway, I had an interesting thought. A friend of mine a while back was watching one of my videos. And the video started on very kind of serious, but then eventually it injected some humor into the situation. That's kind of my standard go-to way of doing things. But the friend who was watching the video said, "Oh, thank goodness. This was taking itself way too seriously." That's okay that he thought that. You know, everybody has their own opinion. Maybe that was hinging on whether he liked it or not, because he likes comedy. But him and I were friends. He knew me to be somebody of comedy. So maybe there was more behind that statement. But regardless, it made me feel a little bit out of place, because I had made this video and it had some serious parts. And suddenly it was mentioned that maybe I shouldn't be taking myself so seriously. So the question arose within me, am I not supposed to be serious? Is everything about me a joke? Do I have to be joking all the time? Is my life a joke? Interesting little things that you kind of laugh at, but they're semi-important to you, but you kind of just push them back in your mind, or at least I did. And when you push them back in your mind, they kind of gnaw at you a little bit. You know, am I a joke? Should I be serious? Should I not be serious? Should I be funny? Am I foolish when I'm trying to be funny? Who knows? But one could argue, who cares? Do what you want to do, not what somebody else wants you to do. But of course, things people say affect us. So it affected me a bit. And again, I'm not mad that he said this. In fact, I'm kind of glad that he said this, because it caused me to reflect a little bit on myself. So at the meat of the issue, is seriousness okay? Is comedy okay? Well, yes. There's a time to laugh and a time to cry. Not that you should always be crying when you're serious. But there's a time to be serious. I think part of a problem is that maybe the world equates seriousness with negative thoughts. It's not necessarily a negative thing to be serious. Seriousness is just the lack of joking, to mean what you say, to be real. These are serious things, and they're not negative. So yes, one can be serious and comedic as a person. But what about you, specifically? What would prevent somebody from being serious or comedic as a person? Well, nothing physical, really. I mean, that rock over there isn't going to prevent me from being serious or comedic, unless you think that it does. Then it does. It's the same with people. And it has to do with what you think and what other people think. Do you think you're funny? Or do you think you're serious? Do other people think you're funny? Do other people think you're serious? This is where it gets complicated, if you choose it to be complicated. Yes, it's a choice. Believing that you are a certain way is a choice. Believing what others say that you are is also a choice. So in that, we have power. We can make a choice. So it's not that we can or cannot be serious or comedic, but it's all in the mind of us and others. Because even if we don't think so, even if we say, I don't care what anybody thinks, to some degree, we all do. Especially when it comes to expectations. Maybe you've heard of a social chameleon, one that takes on the energy of a social situation, takes on the energy of people that they're with, matches their energies, their thought processes. I struggled with this for a long time. But a lot of what that is a pressure felt from expectations of others. Now, it might be trauma from the past that makes us be an extra social chameleon, even though there's no social pressure at the moment. However, a lot of times, especially when we have long-term relationships, when we're seeing a friend that we've been friends with a long time, they expect us to be a certain way. And socially, that's good, that's acceptable. If you and a friend got together every Saturday and you ate ice cream together and had a super uplifting conversation, and that was your habit every Saturday, and it was great. And so this Saturday rolls around and you invite him over and he says, "Yep, I'm coming over." And then he makes fun of you, calls you an idiot for eating ice cream, and he eats green beans the whole time, and then throws the green beans in your face and in your ice cream. That would be very shocking. You might say to them, "Are you feeling all right? You don't seem like yourself. A little out of place." And we would be justified in saying that because this is not the norm. However, this is where things get a little tricky, because at a much smaller scale, it's like this. People expect us to be a certain way. And when we are not that way that they always have known us to be, it's a bit shocking to them. And we pick up on that. It's an energy. Even if they don't vocalize that something's off, they know something is a little off, you're being a little different. Sometimes they do vocalize it. A form of it would be when that friend said, oh, thank goodness, this was taking itself a little too seriously, because he was used to me being comedic. But as people, we're allowed to do whatever we want to do. We have freedom, don't we? We have free will. And so this is where it gets complicated, because we can do whatever we want, but we can't do whatever we want, because then everybody would freak out. Do we want everybody to freak out? I mean, probably not. But sometimes we also want to change. Which brings to mind another friend that I have. This friend has repeatedly gone MIA. Sometimes just, ghosting his phone. People do that. Not too uncommon. However, there was a few times when he just up and left. Moved out of state one time without telling anybody. And then he came back, and we're still friends now. But I tried to put myself in his shoes. There's a lot of social pressure on us. Him and I being in the same group of friends, we've lived in the same area for a long time. We've known the same people for a long time. Every single one of those people expects you to be a certain way. And a lot of times they kind of expect you to be how you were years ago as a child. And when they see you doing not childlike things, they will continually treat you like a child. It can get kind of frustrating. And this adds pressure onto somebody, especially somebody that's trying to change for the better. I mean, think about it. You're trying to better yourself, but every single time you make a change to your personality for the better, somebody comments that you're not like yourself. What are you doing? I'm not saying that happens every single time just like that, but it is a continual pressure that manifests in many ways. And maybe his reaction to that was just getting out of here. Maybe that's what he felt he had to do in order to take the next step in his life. But regardless, we're still friends now. I try to see it from a perspective where I understand where he's coming from. The more I thought about it, the more I can relate to a pressure like that. In a way, we all kind of have that in society. Even if we don't have long-term friends, society still expects you to be a certain way. And again, that's good and bad at the same time, depending on how you look at it, depending on what facet of society you're looking at. Do we do things wrong as a society? You bet. But if one went against the grain of society in every aspect of their life, there's bound to be consequences. And when I say society, I mean just the common thinking, which the common thinking of today seems to be very flowing with social media. And currently in social media, everything is a joke. Your quality of life, your friendships, your relationships, your want to end your life, these are all joking matters to social media. Perhaps this is an area where maybe we need to be more serious as a people. However, I feel like most of the people that make jokes about such things want to think of those things in a more serious way. Maybe they feel that they can't. This is a part of the flow of expectations of society, what people expect you to be like. People expect you to be joking about these things, when in fact, if you don't take those things seriously, the quality of your life, your relationships, your friendships, and the wanting to end your life, things can go south really quickly. So maybe people are influenced by the expectations of social media, where nothing is serious and everything has to be a joke. It can be said that laughter is good and making light of a situation is good. But when things are supposed to be thought of in a serious manner and require critical thinking in order to get your life on track, and you're simply just ignoring that, maybe that's a bad direction. And so like that other friend that I mentioned that simply disappeared for periods of time, with social media, with hanging out with friends, maybe sometimes it's good to just take a step back and unplug. And on a social level, maybe not shut yourself out completely from people, but from time to time, just spend some time alone. Some great things were created and ideas flourished when people spent time alone. And in this age, it's like we have this ingrained need in us to just always be trying to make new friends because we need more friends, and also trying to be connected and visible in social media. That can take a toll on the psyche. But especially when you're trying to improve, the people that you're observing on social media, and the people that are observing you when you're hanging out with them all the time, it reinforces an expectation in our own mind and also the other people's minds of what we should be like. But if we're trying to make steps forward and progress, wouldn't it be beneficial to spend some time alone? Perhaps alone we can forge our own mind, rather than let the world program us as to what they want us to be. And also, I think it needs to be said that this whole entire philosophical conversation here wouldn't be the same if it was all just a bunch of jokes. Maybe it's good to take yourself seriously from time to time. If you enjoyed this video format, if you enjoyed talking about philosophy in a conversational manner, let me know in the comments and give the video a like. If not, let me know. Anyway, friends, that wraps it up. This is Von Nebo. Peace out.